Welcome, everyone, to this week's episode of In the Know with Kat Bobineau, where I interview diverse people in science, technology, engineering, and math. Today, my special guest comes all the way from Cincinnati. Let's welcome Miss Nia. Hi, Miss Nia. How are you doing?
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing great. Can you tell the audience what type of work you do?
I'm a chemist. I've had several roles, mainly in quality control, but in different industries pharmaceutical, flavors and food, personal care cosmetics, and also I've worked with antifreeze.
Oh, antifreeze. See, I used to work with animals as a vet tech, and antifreeze is a no-no. I mean, it's great for cars, but not so great for animals. But I
Yeah.
digress. What school did you go to?
I went to the University of Cincinnati.
Awesome. And so, how about you let us know a little bit about your background and what got you interested in chemistry?
Um, I guess you could say a little bit of boredom. I do have an older brother, but he wasn't playing with me, so I basically went to the bathroom and was playing with the old curl activators, hair gels,
Ooh, oh, just
shampoo.
ooh. I'm gonna stop you right there. Did you say you was playing with curl activator
Yes,
in the house?
I
See,
I blew up a couple of light bulbs, testing out if it still could keep its claims after putting on those roller papers on the end for hair. Put it on there, heat it up on a light bulb, and then would smear it on my hair just to see if it still held or still gave it curl or whatever. That's what I was doing at 9 years old. Doing that. That was my
that
curiosity.
that is hilarious. What did your parents say when they caught you busting light bulbs and putting a
Yeah.
bunch of curl activator in your hair?
Uh. Well, more so. Please be careful. Don't actually be on the lamp. Have the actual lampshade on it. Try not to heat it up as take so long. Kind of be a little bit shorter. But hey, I wasn't killing them, burning down the house, hurting no animals because we didn't have a pet. I mean, they were okay with it. They were okay with it. I mean, they weren't using it. This stuff was in the back of the cabinet.
Wow. I mean, I just want to like pinpoint how awesome it was that your parents weren't like, "Don't do that. You're making a mess. You're ruining my lamp and my bulbs. Now I got to buy new bulbs." Like they were kind of supportive of you and was like, "Just don't kill yourself and us in the process."
Well, I mean, how my parents even met is, I think, is kind of the reason why they were like, okay, we kind of understand this. My parents met in dental school, and that's when they got married. So my dad's an orthodontist and my mom's a dentist. So they kind of understood the scientific method and all of that when it comes to research and experimentation, theories, hypothesis, all that kind of stuff. So they kind of, yeah, they kind of understood that and was like, okay, she's still within a safe parameter. She understands. We'll let her go for a little bit until something really happens.
That's really cool. So I'm guessing everybody in your family has perfect teeth.
Um,
I mean, you have a dentist and an orthodontist. I'm feeling like everybody should be like, Kool-Aid, Hollywood smile action out there.
okay, yes, my brother and I, we did wear braces when we were in our formative years. Yeah, true. Now Hollywood crest smile. I haven't gotten a call from any kind of agents yet, so I really can't answer that just yet. I don't know, but
Yeah. I think you should put it out there, just like and let everybody just be like, take a gander at, what's going on right here and be like, this could be you. Like, you could be, a spokesperson for it.
that's true. That is true. But kind of, I think my dad's work has already kind of been out there. There are, not try to break any HIPAA laws, but yes, his work has actually been seen nationwide, actually,
Nice. Okay,
because of
well, we
some of his past patients.
we will not break any HIPAA laws. Um, how about you let us know what happened after you were 9 and after you started learning about if you was gonna burn your hair off or not, and what kept you going in chemistry?
Actually, it's it really was about, I wanted to know, was there anything out there for a person like myself? I'm like, okay, I'm a black woman. Where are the products? Where is there something for me? And I wasn't seeing it. So that's really what drove my actual passion for, okay, I want to become a cosmetic chemist. I actually want to study cosmetic science. I want to, when I grow up, I actually want to have my own company that is making cosmetics, personal care, and everything. So I didn't see a lot of our stuff or stuff geared towards us,
Mm-hmm.
the shelf. I could sit there and go to Kroger, that's the grocery store around here. Our stuff would be like,
Yeah, you'd have like a little section at the end of the aisle at the bottom that's where you gonna find.
yes,
I ain't gonna shout anybody out because they not paying me, but some of our type of stuff.
exactly, exactly. Like the Mary cream, the S curl boxes, whatever. And I'm like, okay, that's great. You know,
Wow. I mean,
some
I wasn't even gonna say those types. Like, I feel like you telling on yourself by saying you saw
Well,
the
I'm just
S
saying that's
curl.
that's what I would see. It would just be like, it really would be just a small, but it'd be like, okay, well the guys can get hooked up. Well, what about the women? And yeah, it wasn't that many. Yeah, it wasn't that many products. I mean, there's more now, but it's not like the way it should be.
Mm-hmm.
So that's basically what has driven me to, yeah, to go on this path, go on this journey, and do what I do.
Okay, okay. So you had two parents that were in dentistry, and they were open to you guys doing the scientific method and doing experiments on your own self and your own hair. Was there anybody else influencing you, like when you were growing up in high school or junior high, who also, fed into this?
No, I actually got looked at like I had a third eye whenever I would actually talk about what I was interested in, what I want to do when I grew up. I mean, it really wasn't anybody, but looking at, kind of looking back at it, it really probably more so was my dad, because he's been published in dental and orthodontic journals, um, has a master's in public health. So the whole thing about compassion for the community and how chemistry, products, pharmaceuticals, all that kind of stuff, how it actually affects people as a whole. So a lot of couple things that he's done in his professional life and career, things like that, I've looked at that and it's like, okay, well, I understand some of the things that I need to make sure of and to include, be mindful of when I do make my actual product. They just took out, what is that stuff out of antibacterial, tricycline. They've taken that out of antibacterial soap,
Hmm.
and that's something where it's like, okay, kind of understand you want to be clean, but what is it really doing in the long run?
Right.
So
I didn't even know they took that out of there. See, you taught me
yeah,
something new today. I didn't even
yeah,
know.
yeah. So they're starting that process already, but yeah, that's kind of thing. But more so, it really hasn't really been a soul, kind of person. Definitely looked up Madam C.J. Walker, all the accolades and the improvements and everything that she had done. And then once I got to college, then that's when I learned about Annie Malone. So there's just a little bit of information here and there, but it hasn't really been one solid influence. It's just been all me and what I want to do, and then everybody just kind of like, what's that?
I mean, that's cool. I completely understand. I grew up in Oakland, California, with a like fascination with animals and working and holding like big 12-foot pythons when I'm a 12-year-old, and people thought I was weird. So, I completely understand people giving
Well,
you
imagine this coming from Louisville, Kentucky, because that's where I'm originally from. It's Louisville,
ooh.
Kentucky. So yeah,
I mean, you guys got horses.
tobacco and the Derby, and it's like,
Yeah.
what do you want to do? Yeah,
Well, I would think that, people get dolled up for the Kentucky Derby. Like,
well, of course.
So
Oh, of
some
course.
people should be like, let me get some of that good S curl action, that Murray cream, and making sure I'm laid to the side when I go
Ooh,
to the Derby.
well, you can put your hair in a hat.
Oh, that's
Hat
true.
business, being a millinery, yeah, that's the people that really make a killing when it comes Derby and Oaks time,
Oh,
because
you're
it
right.
is
I forgot
hair
about the I
and
forgot about the
makeup.
hats.
Yes. Oh yeah, you got to be beat to the gods for that. But
Yes.
hair, you ain't got to really do too much unless you're wearing a fascinator. Then you got more of your hair hanging out. But yeah,
See, I have yet to go. I want to go to a Kentucky Derby one time, but I'm gonna have to go to somebody else's place of business to be beat to the gods, because I'm very minimal. But like, I've seen the pictures, and it is just like, ooh, I'm gonna be looking like I have horse poo on my face compared to some of those women. So
not a problem. You got time. You got time. First
yeah.
Saturday in May, you got time. You got time.
Okay. So, why don't you tell us about your college experience? Like, how was it going to college, being a black woman, and majoring in chemistry?
Well, although I did receive my associates and my bachelor's from the University of Cincinnati, I actually started out as a chemical engineering major at the University of Cincinnati way back in 1998, and I loved it. There wasn't any issues or anything like that, but for me, the way that a person handles life is what took me on a very different path and to see things. Um, Kind of started out with my high school physics teacher. He really had a bias, uh, almost a discrimination against anyone that wasn't a pretty leggy blonde.
What?
So yeah, so basically the way that he set up the lecture hall was all the pretty leggy blonde girls were sitting in the first two rows, then the guys, and then whoever else was left. So
What?
like,
That's crazy. And
yeah,
what? This was in high school?
this was high school. So
Wow.
imagine the year 1997 to 1998. I'm sitting in a physics lecture hall in the very, like, if you were standing up front, I was in the back to the to the right, and it was me and another young lady, which I'm still cool with to this day, because we was like, okay, we're the misfits of the class. Cool, no problem. We'll let you know how it is.
Wow.
But yeah, basically, if he didn't like what you look like, you were not sitting in the first couple rows. And the other thing that kind of formed how my experience and how I've seen things is because in my graduation class of high school, I was one of five black people in my class. That was my high school. Is it okay if I can say it?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. My high school's DuPont Manual High School in Louisville, Kentucky. We're a magnet high school, and the magnet program I was in was the math, science, technology program. And I had been in that program since elementary school. So for me, being one of few, like I said, five, less than 10, whatever, in a class has always been the culture I've been in. But because I'm so fair skinned, people thought, oh, well, she's albino, she's mixed, biracial, you
Oh
know.
my god, I feel like the I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, yeah.
So people
I've got
thought you was albino. I mean, they obviously don't know what albino people look
right.
like. Wow.
Right. Yeah. 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 The young ignorance was definitely coming out front for a lot of folks, black and white, black and white. So it wasn't like a black person called me albino. The white kids was chiming in too. So that was the kind of thick skin that I had to actually build up. But then when it came to actually doing it, being in the classes, I just didn't want to.
Yeah.
Going back to what happened to me for my physics class, my teacher, when it came to open house, so your parents go through
Mhm.
your actual class schedule, the way that it happens. My parents, I know how they operate. They ask a question just so that they could be prepared and have some fire and ammunition. Being a teenager, you want to rebel and oh, I know what I'm talking about, whatever. So my parents asked, okay, well, if a student wants to come and talk to you to get some help, when can they come see you? This dude, ah, well, I told your daughter to come see me and this, that, and the third. And I'm like, he said this. And my parents was like, yeah, they said this in front of everybody. And like I said, I was the only black person in that class. So my parents don't look like me. I'm the lightest one. My father is brown. My mother is a little bit darker than me. She's yellow. So here it is. You have all these white parents, and I think an Asian Indian was in my class as well. So my parents stood out. They know who the heck it was. There was
Mm-hmm.
no other clues. Like, wow, okay. So yeah, after my parents told me that, I straight shut down on any professor. I was like, okay, I'm not gonna come to your office hours. I'm not gonna have any way of having a he said she said situation. If I have a question about a problem, I'm saying it in class, so I have tons of witnesses. So it was a it was a not a good struggle that I dealt with for many a years. Like I said, starting off college, I wasn't trusting a professor, you know, past anything. So
Wow.
it really was a struggle for me to actually get the kind of understanding that I needed, and it weighed on my mental health, and
Mm-hmm.
it really took its toll, and I had to transfer. So I actually transferred back home to the University of Louisville, and for them, I got a different kind of a situation.
I'm
They
afraid
felt,
to know.
huh?
I said I'm afraid to find out. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, basically, they did not take any of my credits from chemical engineering. Now, I wasn't in any kind of conditional program. I was actually in the major, in the department of chemical engineering at the University of Cincinnati. And they did not take those credits. And the actual department chair, when I was talking with him to let him know, okay, this is what I've done, I actually pointed to the textbook that I had just completed for a course back in June. It was on his desk. The man said, oh, okay, well, then you know what? You can go ahead and retake our actual class again with our textbook that we actually approve of, and you should be a shoe in. You should be able to pass it. I'm like,
What?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So
How
I'm like,
many how many years were you in at Cincinnati before you transferred?
two
2.
years, 2 years,
Mm.
and their program, because basically the whole phrase from Scandal, you gotta do double as much just to be half as good. So
Mm-hmm.
I came out of University of Cincinnati with, let's see, I did about an average of 20 credits every quarter, so every 10 weeks for 2 years, i was I was doing that much because we was on the quarter system at that point. So I had a lot of credits, and I'm like, okay, I passed these courses. I passed the actual beginning courses that were strictly in the major, chemical engineering, along with physics, calculus, differential equations, chemistry, um, English, whatever. I had done 2 years, and I had done a lot. So I'm like, y'all really messing with me. Like, what are you talking about? I got to retake this, retake that. So like I said, life, everything, had to handle with that kind of backhand compliment. But I didn't realize that I know what I chose, and the regret was starting to eat at me spiritually and mentally. So things was kind of a little weird or whatever, probation every now and again. But then when the last letter that I wrote to the scholarship standard committee for the Speed Scientific School at the University of Louisville, their response was, we don't want to see you fail. So because you wrote a very eloquent letter asking to come back, we believe that you should go ahead and get out of the sciences and change your major to English. And
What?
right, right. So I'm like, I'm supposed to be writing like this. This is what you're supposed to do. You're always supposed to be eloquent
Yeah.
in your communication, your written communication.
Just
Why?
because you can write eloquently in English doesn't mean you can't do science. So, I mean,
Right, right. So
oh,
I was just
okay.
like, okay, all right, I see how y'all are. So I switched over to chemistry, and I still had that regret. I was like, I'm not supposed to be here. I'm not supposed to be home, being a good daughter, trying to understand what's going on, and it just really wasn't working. So, a friend of mine that I had communicated with for years, um, he knew that I had gone to UC, and that's the reason why we were introduced because he was also a graduate of UC. So he was like, you know what? I hear you talking about this all the time. I'm hearing it in your voice. Just go ahead and transfer back. So I had gotten a job already at that point because I was already unemployed for 3 years at that point too. So had a job working for the federal government, call center type job. Um, Went back, applied, talked to all the old advisors and everybody that basically was in administration and things like that. Got back in, just like my friend said, and I was driving back and forth for almost 2 years between Louisville and Cincinnati,
What?
keeping keeping my job until I got something local. So I finished up my associates at that point. So it was 2012. I had gone through that whole year, driving back and forth every single week, working on the weekends, going to class during the week, and hitting it. Like people saw me immediately. They knew, okay, Nia's coming in at such time. Shift starts, boom, she coming in. She got her books out, printouts, calculator, whatever. She's taking the calls with a book like this, writing, right, typing one hand, whatever. People would see me going on break, on lunch. They just waved at me, wouldn't bother me. I was in there. So yeah, I did that for about 2 years. Like I said, got my associates at that point. Then I transferred over from the community college part of UC called Blue Ash College. Got my associates there. Transferred over to the main campus and started for chemistry. Now, I didn't want to be in chemistry at first, but because they have gatekeepers, dogs at the gate and things like that, they basically took a look at my whole transcript going all the way back from 1998 to current, and were they were basically coming the same way like the University of Louisville Speed School, that dean of chemical engineering. I don't think you'll do well. You have to do everything over that was from um, 1998 to 2000. And I'm like, you a bold-faced lie. I
That is
just got my
crazy.
associates. Right. I'm like, how are you going to say that my science and my math is not still valid when I was just granted a degree from this university that used those same 2 years of credits? I couldn't get an associate's in chemistry if I didn't have those as my foundation. So I was like, okay, this doesn't make any sense. But then when I talked to the dean of the College of Engineering at University of Cincinnati, he was like, you know what? If you would have came and talked to me and put in an application for transfer to get into chemical engineering right after you walked across that stage, because you basically had a 3.0 coming out of the college for that 1 year, not cumulative, but for that year in that college. So they got your cumulative, your university cumulative, and then within each college. And within the college, I had basically a 3.0, like it was like maybe a 3.005 or something like that, or 2.999, something like that, around there. But I basically had a 3.0 coming out of the Blue Ash College, and I would have been able to have gotten back into the chemical engineering program. And this was said to me in my face from the dean of College of Engineering at the University of Cincinnati. But I was like, all right, had to make my bid for that. Went and talked to the actual undergrad director of the Department of Chemistry. He asked me one question. He said, okay, what do you want to do? I said, I want to make cosmetics. He's like, okay, do you want to do the research part or do you actually want to make it? I was like, okay, I want to make it. Like, he's like, no, do you actually want to babysit and take care of the actual machinery for it. And I was like, oh yeah, no, not that kind of making. I want to be in the lab and all that kind of stuff. So he said, you're trying to drive two horses at the same time, and that's what's been giving you a problem. So come on over to chemistry because we know about the research and we got connection to the College of Pharmacy where the actual cosmetic science program is. We've had success for that. So come on over here. Let me get you started. And that's how I got into the chemistry department and got my actual bachelor's in chemistry. So that was summer 2013. I got my bachelor's in December 2014.
Damn. Damn. That is a story. That is a lot. Yeah. I am sorry you went through all of that to get your bachelor's. Like,
yeah, I mean, but I've learned a lot. I've definitely learned a lot, but wow. Sometimes people think that I might be jaded, might have a very negative perspective on a lot of things, but I'm just like, I've only been around white men and white women. I haven't seen too many of us in any kind of an aspect. If it is, it's an administrative assistant, a janitor, something of a support role. Now I don't sit there and be like, whatever. I sit there and I learn the names of my people. Yeah. Whoever I see, wherever I work, I say, hello, how you doing? What's your name? My name is Nia. And that's it. That's where I go. Every time I see them, we talk, we have a conversation. Doesn't matter because I like seeing my people wherever I am, where I work.
Yeah. Damn. See, that's almost a PSA for HBCUs because I went to an HBCU and I saw nothing but black people in the sciences and stuff like that. And so, like, my circle, since I've graduated, and my professors and my friends, majority of them are black. And so, and that's not to say you can't have a positive experience at a predominantly white institute, a PWI, but this type of story is why HBCUs are there and why we cater to ourselves to make sure we have someone who looks like us when we go into these fields. So we're almost out of time, so I just want you to finish up with this interview and let the audience know, what do you do outside of chemistry? What is your hobby?
Well, besides looking at different ways of kind of furthering my own company, nothing has been set in stone, but that is something that I do work towards, basically on a day-to-day basis. So like, just always kind of scanning with my mind's eye, looking down the aisles and things like that. I am active in my sorority. I'm a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. I also look at gardening. Like that's something that I like to I like to watch those shows. I live in an apartment, so I don't have no grass. So I always try to see, okay, how will a container garden flourish? What would I actually need? Is there anything else that, maybe that could be a positive, an attribute for having a container garden as opposed to having a plot of land, a piece of grass or something. Mm-hmm. And I have an adult coloring book.
Adult coloring books have made a comeback for sure.
Man, when those things came out, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna have to get one. And when I got mine, I got my mama one too. Hers has scriptures and spiritual, inspirational kind of pictures or whatever. But I was like, yeah, I need one because I like doing it for the simple fact that my uncle, he's a renowned artist in Louisville, Kentucky, and I basically was liking what he did, all the mixed media and things like that. So it's like, okay, I like art. I like that. My dad's hobby that he actually kind of ties in with his work is photography. So, I like being behind the camera instead of in front of the camera. So I like art. I like doing those kind of things, but I try to see it on my budget right now. So those are the kind of things that I like to deal with.
Okay, cool. Well, I want to say thank you very much for being a part of the show today. Thank you for telling your story. I know your story is going to resonate with a lot of people. I'm sure you're not the only one who's experienced things like this. So Hopefully, people will, resonate with it, and they might have questions. And if you want, do you have a way for people to contact you? Maybe social media you want to share?
Sure do. I'm on Twitter at NiaX29.
Okay, cool. Thank you. And to my audience, I want to say thank you for joining us today. I hope you've learned a lot from Nia's story. And if you have any questions, follow her on Twitter. Or if you have questions for me, hit me up on any of my social media, which is all the same, Kat Bobineau. And until next week, thank you.